Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We're doing the self-realization and we are now addressing how we can realize after going through all the preparations for preparing the mind to be pure, and then say, what should I do next? Should I sit in meditation? Should I go into samadhi? What kind of self-realization involved? How do I inquire? If inquiring is only a thought level, how do I go beyond the thought? Do I need to go beyond the thought? And people say it's objectless awareness. So how do I get objectless awareness? So all these questions are being asked. So therefore we will address one by one. But before that, we give an example of how we perceive things. Last time we mentioned, say about the chair example. So let's analyze this clearly, how perception occurs. Because the same thing will be applied to the self-realization. That's why we are going into details of how perception occurs. This is how knowledge occurs. This is how the scripture talks exhaustively, and there is a Vedanta Paribhasha that discusses the pramanas. Pramana means how knowledge takes place. Pramakaranam pramanam. That means how knowledge is taking place. And the major pramanas are the perception, direct perception called pratyaksha pramanam. Directly I am seeing, therefore that is a knowledge. So how do I gain? How do you know it is there? Because I can see, or I can hear, I can taste. So laddu is sweet. How do you know? I am tasting. So these are direct perception, and what I see cannot be negated from what I hear, because I can see. That's for eyewitness account. So hearsay account may be because I don't see, but I am hearing, but my hearing may not be the direct proof of what is happening. For a witness, it's called hearsay evidence. But seeing is immediate and direct. As soon as I open my eyes, I cannot but see. And it's really a wonder actually. As soon as I open and the mind is there, I can see the whole world. And that in fact is a miracle itself, because sometimes even if I open my eyes, I cannot see. So seeing is what is there. What is that, bird or something? That's good. So the object is there. I do not create an object and then see. It's not like a Vijnanavada where I am mentally creating the world and then seeing it. That's what at least one interpretation of what Vijnanavada says. It's part of the Buddhism. But here, according to Vedanta, I don't create and then see it. So this is not my creation. It's not a Jiva Srishti. Isvara Srishti is there. I may create something, an object, using Isvara Srishti and modify it to look beautiful. Like if I bring a big stone, I didn't create a stone. Stone is there in the nature, but I can make a beautiful sculpture out of it, then and say, oh, what a beautiful creation. No one said that stone was a creation. Even though from the Lord point that is a stone creation, but only I modified it, I chiseled out a lot of things and leave the stone there, and that where to chisel, how to chisel itself is an art. So a beauty, aesthetic beauty or order is created in this stone when we chisel it. So but when I am doing it, I am only using the given God-given gift or gift of how to do it. All that is a Jiva Srishti of the creation of the idol using the Isvara Srishti. How I create what kind of figure is also I may be making something resembling. It's not like a modern art where somebody has to interpret what that is. But it is directly a figure that you can identify what it is. You may not know what that figure is or whose figure it is or that I have put it, but you can see that I can modify Ishvara Srishti. But the Ishvara Srishti is there for me to modify it. And capacity to modify is also the God-given gift also. So all these things should be understood. When say man made it, man cannot make anything. He using the Ishvara Srishti and modify it to create something. That's what all the creation that we are talking about, or we are familiar. Beautiful buildings, beautiful artwork, all dance, music, everything is a modification of the Ishvara Srishti by a human intellect. But there is an Ishvara Srishti there. So if I want to perceive something, there is an object is there for me to perceive. So if there is a chair, table and all that. What are you seeing? I am seeing a chair. What are you seeing? I am seeing a table. So we are analyzing that. First we said we need a light to see objects, because in the pitch dark room I could not see. So what does light do? Light reveals the object. It lights the object so that object can be seen. So we define a light. Light is that which reveals an object, otherwise the object cannot be seen, because in the pitch dark you cannot see. That's one definition we use for a light. I don't know, it's a electromagnetic radiation and all that, but for the time being, because without a light I could see, with light only I could see. And next we went into details. Do we really see an object? We say I'm seeing a chair or seeing a table. Do we really see an object? Now it is a vichara, inquiry is doing now. For the time being we say, oh, I'm seeing an object and I go along with it. But Vedanta asks you to inquire, what are you really seeing? Now that's why this is called science. Science involves why apple is falling down. Apple is falling down before also. But why does it fall down? Only an intelligent inquirer wants to know. So why do you want to inquire? Just eat just apple, thank God it's falling down, and then you eat and go. Yes, I will eat an apple, but I want to know why it is falling down. So the cause for it has to be understood, and the reason to inquire, the cause huntation, that's what Swami Gurudev used to say. The causation huntation is a navigation of the intellect, human intellect. Wants to know why. Why did God create it? Somebody asked recently, why did God created this world? I said, go and ask God. Why are you asking me? So the problem is God is everywhere. How can you ask anything? So the question, that's why people ask, if God created, why did He create the misery in this and children suffering from the childhood on, that therefore there is no God, blah, blah, blah. So all that is because of understanding God is somewhere else and creating all these things. But besides the God point, let's come back to the perception. Perception is, I am seeing an object there. The question is, am I really seeing an object? Senses can only see the attributes. Senses can only see attributes. Eyes can only see the form, which is an attribute of an object. Color, which is an attribute of an object. This is a red chair, that's a blue chair. This is a red table, different from a red chair. So red is the same, but the shape, form is different. So eyes can see form and colors. Ears can only hear. So ears can only the sound, and we have, fortunately we are given, God has given 2 ears, therefore we know stereographic sound, where one ear from this side and another is coming from that side. Spatial resolutions can be made by the stereo, because we have 2 ears. Same way we have 2 eyes, therefore we could see a 3-dimensional vision. That's part of how we see. But anyway, let's come back to the question, what do I see? So since when the light is not there, I could not see. When the light is there, light is falling on the object and revealing the object. How does it reveal? It reveals by now I am giving a scientific explanation, not the Vedanta, not the Mimamsa position. I don't want to say Vedanta. Vedanta, the scriptures don't talk about it. It's only the interpretation of the scriptures by Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, and That's what they have a methodology of how to explain it. And Advaita and some of the other have adopted that also. So we'll come back to that later. But how does the science explain? Science explains that light is reflected by the object and comes to the retina, and from there it forms an image on the retina, which is transmitted from the retina through optical nervous system to electrical signals. Since we are now familiar with the computers, we know that whatever outside we can convert into electrical signals of plus minus sign. But that is to be converted back into software. And for that we know there is a program code is required. Otherwise the computer will not work. So program code, we have different program codes continuously keep changing. You have Apple has its own program, and the PC modes are completely have different programs, and programs keep evolving. And Windows 10, Windows 8, all those things you're familiar with. So these are program codes that converts the electrical signal, a programmed electrical signal, into a software. And software, when you write and put it back into electrical signal converts back into software. This is what computer is required. For software to work, you need a hardware, right? Without the computer hardware, you cannot have software. But software is not the same as hardware. So we are familiar with the computer terminology. Same way, the brain is a hardware. Brain is a hardware, and brain itself is required, whereas the buddhi is a software. Buddhi is the intellect. So intellect is software that is programmed in every human intellect by evolutionary process, and that converts the electrical signal into a software called thought. How it is done? Lord has provided a program code, universal program code for all human beings that converts the perception of electrical signal via perception into a software, which is essentially a thought. Thought is called vritti. So how vritti forms, we do not know the software. It's a black box, and we cannot even crack that black box. So all people say electrical signal, we know neurons and all that. That's all hardware only. Hardware has to be converted into software, into thought. And what is a thought? Science cannot handle it. Objective science cannot handle it. They may only handle some waves in terms of electrical signals. At the most, that is the maximum they can go. Because the tools that they are hardware tools cannot be used to analyze the software. Simple as that. Now we know all this now. What is the process? The senses gather the information and feeds into the mind through the brain, and converts that into the mind, converts into a thought process. That much we know. The Mimamsa position is also somewhat similar, where they say instead of coming to the reflected light coming to the eyes, the mind goes out along with the senses, grasps the object, and the senses gather the information, and the information is fed into the mind, and the mind forms a vritti. So vritti is back into formation of vritti is the end result, whether you go by a Mimamsa position, which is not a Vedantic position, it is a Mimamsa position which Advaita also adopts, and many philosophical traditions of the Hinduism also adopts that mind is going out. Whether mind goes out or not is same. In the end product is the vritti is formed, and what is vritti? A thought. What is a thought? Thought is, in the case of perception, has the contents of the thought is nothing but the attributes of the object. We also said that attributes of the object belong to the object. There are two types of attributes. One is the swabhavikam, and another is called essentially the superimposed attributes. That is the word is not coming. So this is essentially the sorry. So, like a pot is on the table. So pot is this bring the pot that is on the table. So pot is qualified by attribute of that pot is that it is on the table. But these are the separable. It's not an intrinsic for a pot to be on the table. The pot can be on the floor also, but it differentiates from the pots from the table. There is only one pot on the table compared to all the pots on the floor. So bring that pot which is on the table, a pot that is qualified by being on the table. That's called tatastha lakshana. Now it is tatastha lakshanam, incidental qualification. Incidental qualification can be separated. So even the word Lord is defined as the creator. So creator is incidental qualification for the Lord. Tatastha lakshanam, not a swarupa lakshanam. Swarupa means its intrinsic nature. So pot has intrinsic nature, is it has a particular form. Is that pot's intrinsic nature which is different from another pot's intrinsic nature which is a different size pot. So pot form belongs to the pot. So when I am seeing the pot, I am seeing the form of the pot. Senses are grasping when I say senses are grasping the attributes of the pot. At the same time, I am saying the attributes cannot be separated. The intrinsic attributes cannot be separated from the object, because it's necessary for pot to be in the pot shape to be called pot. Sweetness is a necessary qualification for the sugar. I cannot remove the sweet out of sugar and say my senses are grasping the sweetness of the sugar. I cannot remove the sweetness from that. I can only taste the sweetness, provided my tongue is not spoiled. If I have a fever or something, I may not be able to taste properly. So it's not the fault of the sugar, it's fault of my senses. So senses should grasp depending upon the nature of the object. So senses cannot grasp, take out the attribute. Then what do I see? I do only see reflected attributes of the object. What do I see? Reflected attributes. When the light is falling on it, reflected light from the object is coming to me. So we said on the other side, when the light falls, that is not coming to me. So I don't see the back side of the sofa or the table or chair or even the pot. I can only see the frontal view, because that's what the light is coming only from the front. So reflected light is what exactly I am seeing. I am not seeing the pot. I am only seeing the reflected light from the pot. And that is forming an image in my retina, and they ultimately image as a thought form. So thought content is reflected attributes of the object out there. Yeah? So the attributes have to have a locus. And what is the locus? The shape of the pot belongs to the pot. So from the shape I can say this is a pot. From the shape, other shape, it says this is a chair. From the other shape, it says this is a table. And so from the form, and essentially I can give a name to it. So names and forms go together, right? That's why Nama Rupa. So Vedanta says it is nothing but, whole world is nothing but Nama Rupatmakam Jagata. The whole world is nothing but names and forms. That's it? Yes, names and forms. So what is a chair? It says this shape is a chair and the color is that color of the chair, and that's what I am seeing. Third, is there really chair out there or not? So I have to go and sit on the chair to see whether there is a chair really there or not. Then it is transactionally real. Not only I see, but when I go and sit there by karmendriyas, now I am confirming what I see is really there. You know, those who have gone to Disneyland in the Florida, Disney World or Disneyland, I guess it's called, there is a ghost hill or something where you will be taking around on the top, and you will see that a an imaginary figures being created, and then they are dancing on the floor. I don't know how many people have seen it. The man and the woman are dancing, and there is a dance is going on like a rasa krida, and disappearing, forming and disappearing, forming and disappearing. I am seeing it, but there is no real there. It's only light and shades are forming. A visual perception is making it as though it is there, but it's not really there. So that is, by observation I say yes there is, but only I know there is not, because they are disappearing also without leaving a trace. And what I see is what is there is proved by confirmation, by transactions. Now coming back to this thought. So whatever the object is nothing but the light forming a thought, not the object. The form of the object is transmitted via light, and what I see is only reflected light. Come back. I'm not seeing the chair, I'm not seeing the table, I'm not seeing any object, but while looking at the chair, what I am looking is only reflected light from the chair. I'm seeing only the light. This is very important, because when I want to know is there really a chair or not only that, and what I am seeing is not an object per se, but only reflected light from the object only. Without the light I cannot see, because there cannot be any reflection. But without the chair there cannot be reflection also, even though light is there. Therefore I won't be able to see. So I gave an example. If you are looking at my hand right now, you are able to see the hand only because light is falling on the hand. Without the light you cannot see. In the dark, even if I put you won't know, because you cannot see anything. You need a light. You need a light to see my hand. Now most strange thing that we should know now is that without the hand you cannot recognize the presence of the light. Say it again. Because you need a light to see the hand. But if I remove the hand, there still light is there. Hand is not bringing a light. So there is a light here where the hand was, or hand is right now. So if I remove the hand, there is a light there in the place where the hand was. Because that's how it's getting reflected. If there is no light here, hand will not reflect the light. So therefore there is a light there, but I cannot recognize, I cannot see the presence of the light, even though it is there, because there is no reflecting medium. So we make a statement, I need the light to see the media, to see the objects that are reflecting. I also need objects to recognize the presence of the objects. If there is no objects anywhere in this, completely space, let's say space, not even the planets and anything, even though there is a sunlight, I will not be able to see sunlight. Because if you look at the full moon night, and there is a moon you can see, because the sunlight is falling on the moon. But between the moon and the next planet or next satellite, let's say next planet, Venus or Mercury, there is sunlight also, but I cannot recognize, because there is no object to reflect. So most important thing is, not only I need a light to reveal the object, but I need the object to recognize the presence of the light. Apply the same thing to the consciousness also. We'll do that. But now let's look at this hand meditation now. This is a hand meditation. When you look at the hand, now we know that what you are seeing is the light and not the hand. Right? Now looking at the hand, now shift your attention from the hand to the light that is getting reflected by the hand. So there are two lights here. Two lights is, one is light falling on the hand, making the hand revealed. That's one. And the second is that light get reflected by the hand and reaching your retina through a camera here. And when I'm looking at it, now shift your mind to not to the object but to the light because of which you are seeing the hand. That becomes a meditation. Meditation is to see that light that reveals the object. I'm using very specific words now. Meditation is to see that light because of which you are able to see objects, without which you cannot see the object. Object doesn't bring the light, right? The hand is not bringing the light. At the same time, object reveals the light. Without the light, object cannot reveal it. So I need all this. I need the original light, I need the reflecting medium, and I need reflected light. And from the reflected light, I can say there is a light falling on the original hand. What is that? What you are seeing is only reflected light. Recognizing the reflected light, drop out the hand, neti neti. It's not the hand that you want to concentrate, and shift your attention to that because of which you are able to see. So there is an original light that is falling. That original light that you cannot see, because the original light you cannot see. When I remove the hand, you cannot see. So original light you cannot see, and you only see reflected light. For that you need a hand to reflect it. Now what you are seeing is only reflected light and not the hand. So now meditation is pay attention to the reflecting light leaving the hand, cognitively, not physically, cognitively. I had to shift my attention to the light because of which it is being revealed. Object is required to reveal it. Original light is still there, which I cannot see. I can only see reflected lights. And using reflected light, when looking at the reflecting medium, I had to pay attention, dropping the medium cognitively, and see or recognize that I am the light. That is what has to be required in order to recognize the light that illumines the object. Now exactly identical system operates. Beautiful light example is so beautiful that you can apply it to self-realization. And what exactly is a meditation? Now objectless awareness really means, now look at the hand, the reflected light is that light which is just the light reflected by the object. So when you pay attention to the light but not to the hand, you are not paying attention to the object per se. You are not paying attention to the reflecting medium per se, even though reflecting medium is required. So objectless awareness, now you see what it means, is paying attention to the reflected light of consciousness while being reflected by an object, not paying attention to the object but only paying attention to the reflected light of consciousness. That's what it exactly means, objectless awareness. There is no, without a hand you cannot see the light. So you need an object. Don't say mind is not required. Mind is required. Without the mind you cannot realize. And therefore all these things are essentially the absolute science here. We don't talk about Vedanta, this is simple science reflection and how things are seen. If you analyze clearly. Why Vedanta becomes a science? Because it doesn't say now how vritti forms, how thought forms, how is that analyzed. So somebody said, I think therefore I am. Says no, I am because I am a conscious existent and I can think, and a lot of people refuse to think also. And therefore thinking is only a navigation of the mind, and that only doesn't say that I am because of that. I am there in spite of thoughts, because in the deep sleep state there is no thinking also. Now we will analyze this a little bit carefully, how this example is translated into how perceptual knowledge occurs, and what do you mean by consciousness, and what is the real meditation, Vedantic meditation means, and how I realize this self. All are steps involved in this. If you understand this clearly, it's exemplary simple, at the same time very profound, and this is why Vedanta becomes a science also. With this we stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.